Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football. We're continuing with our 2022 season previews. As we take a look at the Tennessee Volunteers, this is one of the more exciting teams heading into the 2022 college football season. In our minds, if you guys check out our Heisman video, Hendon Hooker is a dark horse to win the Heisman. He cemented himself as one of the best quarterbacks in the country last year. And Dill, when we watch the Tennessee games back, it is just so fun to watch that Josh Heupel offense. The really one word I would come up with is just sexy. Like it's a really smooth offense that just looks really clean. Before we get into it, just wanted to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. If you guys do like talking college football, consider subscribing to the channel. And then more importantly, let us know in the comments below which players we might be missing out on. We're doing this to learn more about each team heading into 2022. You guys are obviously very close to the Tennessee program, and so let us know some players that we also need to keep an eye on. Dill, I'm going to kick it to you. Let's talk the offensive side of football first because that was really the impressive unit for Tennessee last year. What are your thoughts on the offense here?
You got a Heisman quarterback in Knoxville, and you haven't seen good quarterback play in Tennessee in God knows how long. And it's been a big part of why they've struggled for so long and really been kind of at the bottom of the SEC. But you've got a Hendon Hooker, who I mean, he played so well last year for 100% Heisman guy and 100% a guy who used the transfer portal right. He got out of just the worst situation I could imagine in Virginia Tech,
Abysmal.
where Fuentes gave him no chance to shine because all he wanted to do was run a really boring, a really watered-down offense. And he came to Tennessee. Heupel let him rip it. Like they threw the ball a lot, they threw it downfield a lot, and you got to see Hendon Hooker shine and play excellent football. Makes me think he's very likely going to be a draft pick come next.
I mean, there's
spring.
So much to like about Hendon Hooker's game, and starting off with just the accuracy and the efficiency. I mean, threw for 3,000 yards, 31 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. That's one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in the country. And he also completes just under 70% of his balls. This guy's accurate. He's on time with the football, and he does not get the ball in harm's way. That is like all you can ask for a quarterback. And then on top of that, he's a really good runner.
He can still run it. You knew he could run it from Virginia Tech. He still does it, but now you just see, right, what you said. They let him sling it around, and he's good at it.
And I like how they use him in the run game. Like that Josh Heupel offense uses every inch of space on that football field. They split the receivers out really, really far. What that causes the defense to do is really vacate the middle of the field. And Hendon Hooker can have a field day when he's matched up with a linebacker in space. He's making that guy miss. There's so much to like about Hendon Hooker and even more to like about some of the wide receivers he's getting back. You lose a guy like Velus Jones, who was good, Javonte Payton, who was kind of like that home run hitter, averaged like 22 yards a catch. But Dill, this wide receiver unit is really good, kind of headlined by Cedric Tillman, who had one of the highest success rate in college football last year when targeted, just under Jackson Smith-Njigba. Over 60% of the times he was targeted, it was a successful play. Cedric Tillman is going to be that number one. Then you have a guy like Jalen Hyatt, he's a verified speedster who's put on some weight. I didn't think he played to his potential last year, but there's a lot.
It was a crowded room too.
Yes.
It was like just tough to see the field to an extent.
And he's a guy who I think can kind of replace that, push the ball down the field, get the ball to this guy in open space because he is very good with the football. And then you get in transfer Brew McCoy. We did a video on him a little bit ago. I mean, we know Brew McCoy out of high school.
You're just waiting for him to pop. You've been waiting 3 years, it seems like now, and he's got a shot. He's going to get a shot. You know that.
This could be the change of scenery that he needs. Like, this guy was really successful. He kind of went to Texas, then to USC, and he's bounced around, had deals with injuries with COVID. Now it seems like everything is pointing towards that breakout season where, all right, you have the talent. You're in an offense that you're going to be able to cook in. Let's go make it happen. And I couldn't think of a better offense for Brew McCoy to come to than Tennessee because they love getting it to the outside for their wide receivers. This wide receiver unit, and Dill, you like the tight end, yeah?
I mean, that Princeton fan can play. And I want to see – I feel like I almost wish he was used a little more because I don't think you saw him a ton featured in the offense. And in fairness, it's hard to feature a guy when you have someone like of the ilk of a Cedric Tillman because he's a star. But I think Yeah, Fant can make some things happen. He's that bigger, well, not big, but like a longer athletic tight end. And someone could work the middle of the field a little bit with him, using him. And obviously, if you can clear some of the space in the middle for Hendon Hooker, it's just a plus. So I want to see more Princeton Fan. I feel like he could be a really productive player in this offense. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what he can do with another year.
And on their running back room, they ran the
Great.
ball really effectively last year. And I think partially that is they spread you out. And if you have running backs who can make linebackers miss in space, which they did, they can hit some explosive plays in the run game too. Jabari Small comes back. He's a little bit more of the undersized back who's just really explosive. He runs the ball hard. I love his game. A guy that just when I was watching Tennessee games back that I didn't hear of until I started this prep is Lenneth Whitehead.
He's a hammer.
He's a hammer. A 230-pound 6'2 back that kind of spells Jabari Small really, really well. And I kind of like that. Throw in Jalen Wright as well. I like the crop of running backs that they have to offer behind an offensive line that is talented, but kind of just seemed to underperform last year. Dill, I know you have some takes on the offensive line. How are you feeling about this offensive line unit?
I guess at the end of the day, it feels like just a unit that needed to like gel and come together. Because you're right when you say they have talent. They weren't like getting physically beat up like I feel like some of the old Tennessee offensive lines did. They felt physically pretty solid to me last year. The only issues were sometimes if teams blitzed on them, they weren't great picking up blitzes. But you're getting 4 of the 5 starters back, and even at the left tackle spot, whether it's Darnell Wright or Jeremiah Crawford, who played a lot of football last year, although he didn't start, you're getting back a ton of experience. And if you can just tighten the screws on the unit itself, not like the individual players, because they can play, I think you could see a really good offensive line this year.
Yeah, so Darnell Wright, from what I've been reading, is going to move to right tackle, which he's played there before. I think that's a good spot for him. He's a guy that, former 5-star, has all the talent in the world. I want to see him put it together, be a good potential first-round draft pick that he's talented enough to do. Then you're keeping everything else the same. Again, what you said, it's a good unit physically. They just need to come together, pick up those blitzes. And then at left tackle, Jeremiah Crawford, Gerald Mincey, Dane Davis, one of those guys is going to be good. You got to think. They're deep, and you like the talent there. And I think Josh Heupel is going to be able to figure out that perfect recipe for that offensive line to kind of reach its potential. Now, the offense was awesome. We don't really have many question marks. We're kind of just gushing over how good this offense can be in 2022. The problem was the defense. 99th in yards per game, 90th in scoring allowed. They weren't great. Partially is that Tennessee offense runs it real fast, and you're on the field for a lot of games. But this Tennessee defense, again, kind of the story of the offense line. They got some players that we're excited about. They just got to put it together. I think it starts at the defensive line spot. They got to get after the quarterback better on third down. So we watched a bunch of the defense. Which guys do you think can have that juice to kind of make some plays there?
I think the 2 guys who need to rock it are Omari Thomas and Byron Young. Yeah. And those 2 seem like they really flashed moments last year, especially Omari Thomas. I thought he just played excellent, really athletic, big D tackle. And then I think you just want to see Byron Young. Like, you can tell there's the athleticism, you can tell the strength. You just want to see him develop as a pass rusher, maybe not take false steps when he's coming off the line, which I feel like he was doing more than you'd like to see. But a guy who it seems like he's got the talent, you just want to see him flourish into a dominant edge rusher, because you're right, they need to rush the passer better.
Yeah, and I think that was partially why they were so poor in the secondary and giving up yards passing the football, was they just couldn't really rush for and get after the passer. Losing Matthew Butler, that is the biggest question you have about this defense. But again, a guy like Tyler Barron you could throw in there too. Impressive. You want to see him just play good football. At the linebacker spot, you have much lesser questions. A guy like Jeremy Banks, who I think it can be one of the best linebackers in the country.
Him and Aaron Beasley could be a great tandem. And again, it's just 2 guys who need to play more solid, and not like let things go by the wayside, like giving up big quarterback sneaks and other scrambles. Sorry, not sneaks, but like more scrambling issues.
Well, those QB draws against Ole Miss, I was just yelling at the TV. Just like they
hammered
couldn't stop it. And they knew it was coming. They were spying the backers, and Matt Corral's a good football player, but that was kind of unacceptable. Another guy you could throw in there, kind of an X factor, is Juwan Mitchell. He's transferred from Texas, top 150 recruit. Was very good for Texas last year. He was on my radar last year coming in Tennessee. Only played 2 games for them, had a messed up shoulder. He's going to be back too. I mean, Jeremy Banks, Juwan Mitchell, Aaron Beasley. If you can find a way to get those 3 backers on the field, those guys are really, really good. That can be a great unit.
And they all can move pretty well in pair, especially Jeremy Banks. I think he's a very good athlete. So I think you should be able to find a way to figure out
all on the field. Totally agree. In the secondary, this was another weak spot of that defense. Again, this defense just was not great last year. And they gave up, a 273 yards passing. That's 122nd in the country. You lose a guy like Alontae Taylor, Theo Jackson. Some guys that I think can step up. Trayvon Flowers, third in the team in tackles last year, 2 picks. There's some guys, Jalen McClough, 3 interceptions last year. They have some guys at that safety spot that can play, and they obviously had some question marks in the secondary. They go to the transfer portal, get a guy like Andre Turrentine, Wesley Walker, I should say, from Georgia Tech. They wanted to address that position. They did it, and hopefully that unit can be a little bit better.
Yeah, they needed some new faces anyway. You don't want to lose Alontae Taylor, but they needed a fresh start because it was really weak last year.
And taking a look, so we kind of end our previews, taking a look at the schedule and talking about what Vegas values this team at. 7.5 wins for Tennessee last year. You look at the schedule last year, outside of their losses from Georgia and Bama, who are they're the 2 best teams in the country last year. Their other losses were Pitt, where Joe Milton's fault. If Hendon Hooker starting that game, they're beating Pitt. And then they lose a one to Florida, where you got Florida when Florida was still actually trying in football. This year, looking at their schedule, outside of the games on the road at Georgia and then Bama coming to Knoxville, I'm not picking them to lose any games, I think.
You let it rip with Hendon Hooker all year. That's a really, really good team, I think, in Tennessee. At least a really good offense. So if they
potentially a 2-loss team last year,
they're a problem. No, you're right. No shot they lose to Pitt with Hendon. And I think when you have your quarterbacks juggled, no teams are really ever good with that. So I think now that it's very clear Hendon Hooker's the guy, I think you're hoping for a much improvement by Tennessee this year.
And another X factor is Hendon Hooker's taking reps with the ones. The whole year, he is the leader of that team. It's kind of hard to come in off the bench and be the leader of that squad. Exactly. Hendon Hooker is now not only saying I'm QB1 of this team, I'm one of the best damn quarterbacks in the SEC and in the country this year. And so looking at the schedule, Ball State win. They go on the road at Pitt. I have a hard time seeing them lose that game.
They should house
Business Fans Akron, and then Florida at home this year before the bye week. Florida's got a lot of new faces, and quite frankly, Tennessee's probably just better than them this year. Then they're off. They go on the road at LSU. That's a tough one. Then you have Alabama coming to your place. If they can come out of that with 1 win, just beat LSU on the road, they get UT Martin, Kentucky, and then they go on the road at Georgia, then finish up with Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. They can win those 3 games.
Kentucky is going to be a swing, it feels like. They're probably need to beat Kentucky, and I know they've struggled with them in the past, but I think that's going to be a huge, huge game.
There's 3 games towards the back of the season. LSU, Kentucky, and then on the road at South Carolina. They can win 2 out of those 3 games, and again, I think they can win all 3 of them. I go back to, I don't think there's many better teams in the SEC outside of Alabama and Georgia.
This is a team that can steal a game because they're going to be able to put points up. You saw they played probably Georgia as competitive as anyone besides Bama
and Alabama.
So, this is a team that can score. This is a team I think that can be hard to beat because I think they're going to be able to put points on every defense.
Yeah, and that'll do it for our review on Tennessee, guys. This team is going to be fun to watch. I cannot wait to watch this team.
They're really exciting. If the defense is bad, then it's unfortunate. But
this
offense just play okay defense. It's going to be really kind of good.
Yeah. And before we cut out, we just want to give a shout out to our sponsor of the show. And largely that is due to all your guys' support. Support for ROC Boys Football is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. This is 20% off and free worldwide shipping with promo code ROCBOYS. Again, that is 20% off and free worldwide shipping with code ROCKBOYS. Guys, check out Manscaped. It is the right tools for the job. I know it's hot down there in Tennessee. Go take care of your business down there with the right tools. We appreciate you guys checking this out, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.